And to a big development, BJP's Amit Malviya shared a report of analysis done by the cyber experts and digital investigators. They in fact released a detailed dissection of Pakistan's disinformation campaign against India at their press conference amid the ongoing tensions over Pahalgam terror attack. Pakistan's recent press conference aimed at blaming India for terror attacks ended up revealing just how weak and immature their forensic work really is. They showcased a phone supposedly seized months ago, but it was still online during the briefing. Messages and call logs appeared in perfect sequence. Even the WhatsApp does not store calls, and timestamps did not just add up. Screenshots of fund transfers popped up within seconds of each message, despite the device being in custody long after. The timeline, in fact, simply does not make any sense. They also displayed a drone, calling it Indian, but it turned out to be a Chinese DJI model, clearly not checked up before the claim they made. Even the video of an Indian officer looked very scripted, with shifting accents and overly polished hands. One tweet, in fact, they cited was posted a month before the suspect's arrest. Again, a clear example of evidence tampering and planting. There were no phone numbers, no IP trails, no links to India, just a series of sloppy fabrications done by them. In fact, instead of exposing India, Pakistan only exposed its own inability to build a credible case against us. Okay, let's try to take a deeper dive into this particular report that we have been speaking about. We've been joined by Director of Voyager Infosec Private Limited and cybersecurity expert Jiten Jain. Jiten, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation here at News 9. We just spoke about, this dissection that has been done in this particular report that has come out about the evidences which Pakistan showed that India, claiming that India has been, plotting against them. India did this attack themselves and blamed it all on Pakistan. First up, could you walk us through one by one the steps that you took in order to expose the lies which were pelted by Pakistan? The one by one picture, and then, of course, the breakdown of it.
See, understand, for any sort of forensic to happen on any digital device, the first and foremost principle is that device has to be forensically cloned, and any sorts of forensic evidence or investigation has to be done on the cloned setup, not on the live phone. The phone has to be first put on airplane mode, switched off, and created need a forensic clone of it. If you take any screenshot, do any forensic on a live phone, the forensic is dead. So if the phone is live, forensic is dead. So if you see the screenshots which are put out as a forensic evidence, irrefutable evidence by ISPR of Indian sponsored terrorism, all those screenshots are taken on a live phone. And how do you figure out? Because you can very well see there is a it's a multi-SIM phone, and both signals are live. There's a data being transferred. And worse, even the terrorist and terror handler is online. If you see the WhatsApp screenshot, the so-called terror handler they're claiming some Indian, major is also online, as if you are sitting in the next room guiding them. So this is all nothing but a screenshot theater. This is no investigation, no forensic evidence. This is just a farce which was practiced and put out by Pakistan as propaganda. I think two of their con artists were sitting in the same room for 3-4 months, just fabricating and creating manufacturing evidence. Like, you message me something and I reply and you take a screenshot. And worse, all the screenshots which are taken, or the proof which are presented as forensic evidence after a terrorist was arrested on April 26, mind you. A terrorist was arrested on April 25. Forensic was done on 25 or 26. The evidence would have come only after once you had the phone in custody. But if you look at the screenshot timings, they are of 3 months old, 4 months old. So somebody was preparing screenshot well in advance to one day blame India for everything and create a concocted, fake, fabricated theory of India-sponsored terrorism. And they found the right moment, because abhi to blame game shift karna hai, and they put out the screenshots. While putting them out, they forgot to erase the timestamps. I think they are good with theater. They have got good, script writers, but I think they do not have good technical people who could have told them that you will get caught pants down if you present this as forensic evidence. So entire evidence is fabricated fraud, nothing but high level of forgery, fabrication presented as forensic evidence. And then second, there is a money trail they are claiming. If you look at that money trail, he initially claims that Indian, handler on call it is saying that, look, I cannot transfer more than 10,000 rupees, otherwise you'll come into ISI and cyber wing scrutiny, and I'll transfer only 10,000 rupees. And they are saying this is how terror financing happens by India, and we'll go to FATF and all that crap. But if you look at the screenshots, there is a transfer of 1,95,000, 1,50,000. So that 10,000 theory has gone for toss. And and I think it has likely happened because to substantiate that 10,000 claim, he would have had to, created at least 200 screenshots to say that 20 lakhs were paid. Now, I think there was a screenshot fatigue, so he decided, "Arey, chodo, abhi 10,000 ka, 2 lakh ke screenshot banate hain." So the money might have actually been transferred, but the app which they are claiming that where the money was transferred, account where they're claiming they're transferred, are Pakistani accounts. And in those, UPI kind of Pakistani, this easy pay what they have, only Pakistanis can transfer money. So Pakistani ने पाकिस्तानियों को पैसा ट्रांसफर किया. The person who's a terrorist is also a Pakistani citizen. The screenshot are taken in ISPR lab. They're all doctored, manufactured, and all this fabrication is not possible unless you time travel back in time or you have got some superpower to be present in different timelines together. And ISPR can do anything. Third, they presented a drone that हमने ये दहशतगर्द से drone discover किया, which is an Indian drone, Indian origin drone, found at his home. There are no photos, visual or any news of any photos of his home. There is a photo of a drone lying in a ground. If you do a basic investigation, a Google reverse image search about the drone, that is a Chinese DJI made drone. वो तो रोज DJI के फेकर यही लोग लेके आते हैं, हमारे यहाँ चाइनीज सामान नहीं आता है. Third, then they get Ishaq Dar, the deputy PM, foreign minister, next day to repeat and peddle same lies. And then he invite experts across the world. We have got credible evidence. Please see India kya kar raha hai, and we welcome anyone. So we accepted his invitation. And Ishaq Dar has a history, and he's a part of old coterie of fraudsters. His boss his boss Nawaz Sharif, just few years ago, fabricated an agreement between him and Maryam Nawaz using a font which was created in 2007 by Microsoft, and they presented it. They created a 2006 agreement using that font. When they were caught, he had to resign in Panama paper scandal. तो इनका तो फर्जीवाड़े से पुराना इतिहास है. They have history of fabrication. ISPR has history of fabrication, and this forensic detail, thrashed completely by their own screenshots, concocted stories, has now, effectively told the world that ISPR is not inter-services public relation. They now stand for invented stories, propaganda, and rumors.
Absolutely, Jitin. In fact, kudos to all of you guys that you have noticed all of these nitty-gritties of the proofs which were provided by them, and also blaming us out in the open and then falling flat on their own claims. But I've been also joined by our executive editor and strategic affairs expert, Aditya Raj Kaul, on the broadcast. Aditya, like we have literally spoken about the kind of messaging, screenshots, and also the videos, and also the drone claims provided by Pakistan. Clearly, they have fallen flat. But the question is, if they have made all of such claims in the open, if not India, why nobody else also questioned them? In fact, their own audiences.
Well, absolutely. ISPR is very habitual. The Pakistan Army's propaganda wing is very much habitual of putting across very fake evidence against India because they do not have any evidence. And in this particular case, very importantly, in a very forensic and very logical manner, a scientific study has been done by Jiten Jain and the ISPR monitor to expose the lies of the Pakistan Army, the deception of the Pakistan Army, and, a very cursory look at the entire press conference by the ISPR DG would tell you that the two people having conversation are both Pakistanis because there's no Indian involved. The accent in which the conversation is being done, nobody in India uses such kind of an accent, not even in India's Punjab or Haryana or any of the border areas. And also the way the so-called evidence has been presented by the Pakistan Army clearly indicates a very junior officer, not very trained, has done this because, any forensic expert, be it from India or any other country, can come out and investigate this further and reveal how this is complete farce, complete propaganda. There is no terrorism emanating from India, but it's actually Pakistan Army trying to, in a very desperate manner, corner India with some kind of a propaganda. I'll also reveal here, apart from Jiten Jain's very, hard work in the last few days investigating this further, the Indian government has also taken note. The top sources within the Indian government have just confirmed to me, and they have taken note of this detailed study and report by the ISPR monitor and will be taking this forward. Now, taking this forward means that diplomatically showing this report to the entire diplomatic community, diplomatic corps in New Delhi, and and from our embassies across the globe to expose Pakistan's nefarious design and Pakistan-sponsored terrorism in the region and show how the Baloch are leading a very peaceful, armed struggle against the Pakistan Army's human rights violations, but yet, Pakistan has no other way but to spread lies against both India and the Baloch activists, etc., who are using, peaceful means to protest against the forceful occupation of Pakistan of Balochistan.
Definitely. Aditya, please stay on with us. I have another question for Jiten here. Jiten, there is one section in this detailed report that I have got, which has been released by you, which has written from calibrate to conspiracy, a pattern of forgery. Would you like to shed some light on that as well? The aspect of Ishaq Dar and how...
we just spoke about it, that Ishaq Dar belongs to PMLN.
Yes.
So their chief supremo Nawaz Sharif along with Mariam was taking around a document in public domain allegedly claiming that it was a 2006 agreement between them, and people figured out that so-called 2006 document was created using a font which was released only in 2007. 6 document made by 7 font. So they have a history of time forging and screenshot forging and font forging. So Ishaq Dar found a convenient partner in ISPR in this forgery. See, this is, and there's a worse thing here, which is inhuman. All these fake screenshots are only possible when either they had access to the phone or, either they're fabricated or they were themselves taking the screenshots. Now, to prove that, they also shot certain WhatsApp call recordings. There is no mobile device in the world which allows you to record a WhatsApp call. The WhatsApp itself does not have a feature to allow you to record a WhatsApp call. It's end-to-end encrypted. The only possibility you can, record a WhatsApp call is by planting a malware or a spyware in the phone. Now, if ISPR had there are two possibilities now. Either ISPR themselves were running this entire fake narrative sitting in a room, or they had infected this phone by a malware. In both cases, they had foreknowledge of the IED attacks which happened in Pakistan, and in 2 of those attacks, multiple Pakistani soldiers were killed. Now, this creates a question that to just substantiate this forgery and fabricated evidence to create a story against India and to create a theater, they actually got their soldiers killed to make it more clear. What sort of, and Pakistani government and public must force ISPR to now conduct an investigation that whether ISPR had foreknowledge about the soldiers being killed and allowed them to be killed, or they themselves got them killed. Now, this is worse because, see, it is very clear that either this entire evidence is fabricated or they created in a lab sitting themselves.
Absolutely. Jiten, thank you so much for highlighting all of that. And in fact, thank you so much to your entire team for conducting all of this detailed analysis of the claims which were made by Pakistan. Thus, Prime Minister held a one-on-one meeting with the Army Chief on Wednesday night. A day earlier, he met the Navy Chief. And today, he sat down with the Air Force Chief AP Singh, all in individual meetings. Cutting short his Saudi Arabia visit, the Prime Minister landed in India on the morning of April 23rd and also held an immediate meeting at the airport with the NSA, Foreign Secretary and External Affairs Minister. He has shared 2 meetings with the Cabinet Committee on Security, one on April 23rd and the other one on April 30th. On April 28th, the Prime Minister met Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. A day later, on April 29th, he held a high-level review with the Defence Minister, NSA, CDS and the 3 service chiefs as well. So that's the big breaking news coming in. A strong message given to Europe by India. External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jaishankar has said India seeks partners, not preachers. Speaking at the Arctic Forum, S Jaishankar took aim at European nations that, in his words, don't practice at home what they preach abroad. He said parts of Europe are still struggling to adapt to a changing multipolar world, while India is looking for real partnerships based on mutual respect and understanding.
Look, when we look out at the world, Samir, we look for partners. We don't look for preachers. Particularly preachers who don't practice at home what they preach abroad. And I think some of Europe is still struggling with that problem. Some of it is changing. So, the issue for us, I mean, in many ways, Europe, I think, has entered a certain zone of reality check. Now, whether they are able to step up to it or not, it's something we will have to see. But from our point of view, if we are to develop a partnership, there has to be some understanding, there has to be some sensitivity, there has to be a mutuality of interest, and there has to be a realization of how the world works. And I think these are all work in progress to differing degrees with different parts of Europe. So some have moved further, some a little bit less.
Corner globally, on Pahalgam attack, Pakistan is now resorting to nuclear blackmail. Its envoy to Russia has issued a nuclear threat in a desperate attempt to blackmail the global community to push India to avoid retaliation to the dastardly terror attack. Pakistan's ambassador to Russia, Mohammad Khalid Jamali, openly threatened India with a nuclear attack. He asserted that Islamabad will use the quote-unquote full spectrum of power, including nuclear weapons, if New Delhi attacks the neighboring country. In fact, in an interview with the Russian broadcaster, Jamali claimed that Islamabad has credible information that India is likely to plan military strikes on Pakistani territory.
Well, when it comes to India and Pakistan, we do not get involved into this debate of numerical strength. We in Pakistan will use the full spectrum of power, both conventional and nuclear. And I'll stop there.
Moving on, a big success for the Punjab police. A major Pakistani spy network has been busted in Amritsar. Two men, Palak Sher Masi and Suraj Masi, have been arrested for leaking sensitive army's information. Officials have said that they shared photos of cantonments and air bases with Pakistan's ISI. These are the two men, their picture on your screens. The link to Pakistan was traced through a jailed man named Harpreet Singh, also known as Pittu or Happy. A case has been filed under the Official Secrets Act, and investigators say more explosive details could in fact emerge soon with investigation. Moving on, India has beefed up its diplomatic offensive against Pakistan after the Pahalgam terrorist attack. In the latest, India has curbed water flow through the Baglihar Dam situated over the Chenab River in Jammu and Kashmir's Ramban. The gates of the sluice spillways on the Baglihar Dam have been lowered to restrict water flow to Pakistan's Punjab as a short-term punitive action, a senior official told a leading daily. Now, the Baglihar Dam is a run-of-the-river plant for hydropower generation. Chenab is one of the western rivers in the Indus water system, and the treaty allows for harnessing its waters for power generation. Moving on, amid security alert across Kashmir, special checkpoints and mobile checkpoints have been established by BSF to secure movement of tourists on the Srinagar-Gulmarg highway. A massive frisking and checking of vehicles arriving tourist places are being conducted after a deadly terror attack in Pahalgam. Security beefed up in North Kashmir's Gulmarg, especially after having received an intelligence-based input about the movement of terrorists in the forest area. A report coming in on the same. Take a look.
पहलगाम आतंकी हमले के बाद जिस तरह लगातार सुरक्षा बल तैनात है, रात दिन सुरक्षा जो है वो चाक चौबंद है। खासकर लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल से लेकर कश्मीर घाटी के अंदरूनी इलाकों तक सुरक्षा को जो है वो इंटेंसिफाई किया गया है। आप देख सकते हैं इस समय हम मौजूद है गुलमर्ग और बारामूला के बीच जो सड़क जाती है वहां पर, जहां बीएसएफ के जवान लगातार इसी तरह चाक चौबंद तरीके से तैनात है। ये मोबाइल चेक पॉइंट यहाँ पर रखा गया है बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्स की तरफ से, और जो भी गाड़ी यहाँ से आती है, मेरे कैमरा पर्सन मुर्तजा दिखाएं तो आप देख सकते हैं डॉग फ्रिस्किंग भी यहाँ पर हो रही है। हाईटेक हथियारों के साथ हमारे देश के वीर सपूत यहाँ पर लगातार मौजूद है। तमाम संदिग्धों पर नजर बनाई जा रही है और साथ ही साथ कोशिश ये है बीएसएफ जवानों की कि यहाँ जो सैलानी आ रहे हैं उनमें विश्वास पैदा किया जाए और उन्हें एक तरीके से सुरक्षित महसूस कराया जाए। उसके चलते जगह जगह पर सुरक्षा जो है वो इसी तरह चाक चौबंद है। ये तस्वीरें आपको गुलमर्ग जाने वाली सड़क से हम एक्सक्लूसिव टीवी 9 72 वर्ष पर दिखा रहे हैं और मेरे कैमरा पर्सन लगातार आपको दिखा रहे हैं कि किस तरह मजबूती से जो सुरक्षा है उसे जो है यहाँ पर इंश्योर करने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है। ये डॉग फ्रिस्किंग, क्योंकि बीएसएफ जवान लगातार नॉर्थ कश्मीर की ओर बढ़ते हुए लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल के इलाकों में भी ये जवान लगातार तैनात हैं। टीवी9 भारतवर्ष ने कल भी जिस तरह उड़ी सेक्टर से दिखाया कि किस तरह बीएसएफ के जवान तमाम सरहद के इलाकों को सुरक्षित करते हैं, वहीं सीआरपीएफ जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस भी लगातार तैनात है। मेरे कैमरा पर्सन थोड़ा फॉलो करते हुए इस तरफ आए, ये देख सकते हैं पूरा जो बाकायदा तमाम चीज़ों को चेक करते हुए उसके बाद गाड़ी को आगे जाने की इजाज़त दी जा रही है। ये सतर्कता खासतौर पर पहलगाम आतंकी हमले के बाद। इस तरफ कैमरा पर्सन मेरे आप पैन करके दिखाने का प्रयास करें, ये देख सकते हैं ये इन तमाम जंगलों में, हालांकि हम सुरक्षा कारणों की वजह से एग्जैक्ट लोकेशन आपके साथ साझा नहीं कर सकते हैं, लेकिन ये तमाम जो जंगल है ये तमाम वही इलाके हैं जो कि नॉर्थ कश्मीर के सटीक वाले इलाके हैं और लगातार संदिग्ध गतिविधियां इन्हीं इलाकों में देखी जाती है। उसके चलते गुलमर्ग जैसा पर्यटन स्थल जो है उसे सिक्योर करने का यह प्रयास है सुरक्षा बलों द्वारा, सरकार द्वारा, क्योंकि बाइसरन घाटी का इलाका भी इसी तरह जंगलों से घिरा हुआ इलाका था और आतंकियों ने उस इलाके को इसीलिए चुना था क्योंकि वहां पर कहीं ना कहीं एस्केप रूट उनको मिल जाता। लेकिन अब सुरक्षा गुलमर्ग की इन हसीन वादियों में चाक-चौबंद, देश के जवान लगातार तैनात और कोशिश ये कि तमाम आतंकी गतिविधियों को विफल किया जाए और वक्त